Welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your hosts today, Westside and Big Sass. It's a little midweek episode, and we are doing our Week 9 recap. So without further ado, I'm going to attempt a little Week 9 rundown. So, Godspeed.
Without breathing. Set the world record.
No, but here we go. All right, so to kick off your Sunday morning, early game in Germany, Dolphins at Chiefs. Chiefs come away winning 21-14. The big statement in this game is Tyreek Hill is stripped to end the half, and the defenders laterals the ball, and the Chiefs house it for the touchdown. Dolphins offense can't seem to put it together, and unfortunately for them, when they were trying late to tie the game, there is a miscommunication and a bad snap. Tua loses like 10 yards trying to recover the ball, gets on top of it, gets followed up with a sack, time runs out, game over. Dolphins struggle against winning teams continues. Will they ever break this curse? Who knows? Next
Fraudulent.
up. Yeah, hashtag frauds. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Falcons. Vikings come away 31-28. Josh Dobbs leads them to victory with like 5 days to get used to the offense. They showed highlights of him when they realized he had to go in the game because of injury. He was talking to the O-line, explaining how he does his cadence so they can get used to his voice inflections when he's saying his cadence. Another puzzler in the Arthur Smith conundrum. Falcons had the ball at the 1 yard line, proceed to go false start, screen pass to Jonnu Smith, reverse to Jonnu Smith, and then a run with Tyler Algier, and they lose yards. In Arthur Smith's defense, Jonnu Smith could have walked into the end zone had he just ran the reverse all the way through instead of cutting upfield. But puzzling for both these teams. Vikings go to 5-4, Falcons go to 4-5.
You got that backwards.
What did I say? Vikings 5-4, Falcons 4-5.
Maybe you did.
Who knows?
That was my hearing dyslexia.
He's trying to trip me up, but I won't let it happen. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Seahawks were, leading their division, looking like they were, starting to garner some hype, and they get smacked down 37-3. Basically, from the second quarter onward, Baltimore completely dominated this game. Geno Smith gets picked off by Geno Stone, Geno and Geno Crime. Lamar Jackson, I'm pretty sure, didn't even play the fourth quarter. An undrafted free agent running back for the for the Ravens, Keaton Mitchell, he gets his first ever NFL action, gets 9 carries for 138 yards and a touchdown. That's 15 yards a pop. Basically slaughters the NFC, which is essentially all that Lamar Jackson lives to do. Following this up with a little bit of a doozy, the Cardinals go to Cleveland, take on the Browns, and get beat down 27-0. Cleveland possessed the ball for nearly 40 minutes, outgained the Cardinals 326-58 on offense. Cleveland gets a little bit of a luck. A Deshaun Watson pass ricochets off of a Cardinals defender's helmet into the end zone, only to be caught by Amari Cooper. A little bit of a snooze fest, but Cleveland keeps on winning. They're 5-3. The Cardinals go to 1-8, hoping that by some miracle Kyler Murray can turn their season around. Next up, we have the Rams going to Green Bay to take on the Packers with Brett Rippon filling in for Stafford. Unfortunately, he only puts together 130 yards with an interception, sub 50% completion percentage. Meanwhile, Jordan Love has a pretty solid game, and Aaron Jones chips in a touchdown, which has been hard to come by for him. But the Packers get the win. 20-3, move to 3-5. Rams move to 3-6. Next up, we get a little bit of a barn burner. Buccaneers at Texans. Texans win on a walk-off 39-37. CJ Stroud breaks the NFL rookie record for 470 yards passing. And on top of that, he has 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. One of the best quarterback games ever, but for sure the best quarterbacking game by a rookie. Maybe the best performance by a rookie, period. Baker Mayfield, tried to duel with him. He contributed 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rashad White chipped in 2 more touchdowns of his own. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, the Buccaneers left too much time left. They scored a touchdown to take the lead with like 40 seconds left, and that's all Stroud needed to march down the field and throw the game-winning touchdown to fellow rookie Tank Dell. They got a good duo there in Houston. Following that up, we had the Washington Commanders go up to Foxborough, take on the Patriots, and they come away with the win 20-17. It got a little dicey at first. Ramondre Stevenson ripped off like a 64-yard touchdown to take the lead. The Commanders had a sack fumble get ruled a roughing the passer because it's a soft league that we're living in. But Sam Howell delivers a 36-yard strike right down the seam in tight coverage to Jahan Dotson to take the lead, and Washington escapes with the victory. They move to 4-5, while the Patriots fall to 2-7, and there are murmurs about who will be the coach for the Patriots next year. To follow up that game, we had Chicago visiting the Saints in New Orleans. Saints get the victory 24-17. Chicago came out hot with tight end Cole Kmet snatching 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, this was a little bit of a Taysom Hill game. He threw for a touchdown, chipped in another 50 rush yards, and he also had a receiving touchdown along with fellow tight end Juwan Johnson and Chris Olave, and that 24 points was just too much for rookie quarterback Tyson Bagent. Catch my breath. Next up, hope you're following along.
Every other one for you.
It's all right. Indianapolis goes to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Colts get the victory 27-13. Unfortunately, it was not a great day for rookie quarterback Bryce Young. While CJ Stroud lit it up, Bryce Young threw 3 interceptions, including 2 pick sixes to Kenny Moore. And unfortunately, when you give 14 points to the other team and you only score 13 points yourself, not looking too hot. Some people had some doubts about Bryce Young. Some people said he has all the tools no matter how tall he is, but hasn't been a great start, but I'll still give him some time. Another terrible game, unfortunately. We have a league of mediocrity this year, but somehow we get these trash games. New York Giants go to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders after they fire Josh McDaniels, and as RJ, I'm pretty sure, correctly predicted, the Raiders completely smashed the Giants 30-6. Daniel Jones gets injured, possible ACL tear. It may have been confirmed already. I'm not sure. ACL tear, done for the year, $80 million in the trash.
Oh my God.
Tommy DeVito fills in, throws 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Rookie quarterback for the Raiders, Aiden O'Connell, chips in a solid effort, 209 yards, 8.4 yards an attempt, while Josh Jacobs churns out 26 carries, 2 touchdowns, and receiver Jacoby Myers takes the end around for a touchdown as well. Raiders came out to play. Antonio Pierce has them inspired. We'll see how they do next week. Now to the meat of the week. Cowboys at Eagles. Dallas goes to Philly. They lose 28-23, mainly because the Cowboys always get in their own way. Some people will say Dallas was the better team and lost. I'll say the Eagles played poorly and were still able to win. So what does that say? Cowboys tight end gets tackled literally half an inch short of the end zone on a 4th down play and on a 2-point conversion, which impacted the end of the game. Dak Prescott seemingly just steps out of bounds when he could have just ran into the end zone. Got a little nervous. I think Jalen Carter was chasing him. I
Brandon
guess I would be
Graham.
nervous too. He
Brandon
steps
Graham,
out. Brandon Graham, just
the
probably
old
worse,
man.
honestly. 2-point conversion fails, and because of that, they need a touchdown, and they drive down the field with no time left, aided by multiple penalties just for CeeDee Lamb to get tackled on the 4-yard line. Typical Cowboys. I'm not shocked. It's what they do. We'll talk about it later. Follow that up. Sunday Night Football. We made it to the night games. Bills at Bengals. Unfortunately, the Bills can't exercise their demons, and they fall 18-24. Josh Allen continues to throw interceptions and has to be basically the backbone to this entire team. Joe Burrow, meanwhile, a cool 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, chips in. He was their what?
What?
My rushing yards thing is it has Joe Burrow listed as the leading rusher for the Bengals, but that's not true. I was gonna say he had a really good game. Forget about that.
Just 5 carries for 4 yards.
Yeah, I don't know why he's listed as number one. T. Higgins chips in 110 yards, and then the Bengals tight ends Drew Sample and Irv Smith chip in the touchdowns to get the win. Not a terrible game by the Bills, but they just can't get right. The injuries to the defense are certainly weighing on them. Monday Night Football. We have the Chargers coming across the country to take on the Jets. I thought the Jets maybe had a chance, but the Chargers just whooped them 27-6. They started the game with a punt return touchdown. Both teams have, go to 4-4. Zach Wilson throws the ball 49 times against the league's worst pass defense and basically can't do anything. Jets couldn't really get anything going on offense, unfortunately. Chargers get to 500, and Keenan Allen had a great one-handed catch to get him his over 10,000 career receiving yards. So nice accomplishment for him. And that does it for the Week 9 slate of games. I could be better.
Quite impressive.
I could be better, but
that was a dry run, never practiced, first time doing it. Quite impressive.
Yeah, I was gonna say no practice, off the cuff, minimal, no prep at all, minimal research during. I'm quite proud of myself.
I would have thought you watched every game.
I mean, I did watch most of them, just parts of a lot of them.
That's
if
true.
You follow us on Twitter at the NI Show, you would have seen that somebody was doing a pretty good job of tweeting during the Sunday.
Yes, Westside is our Sunday ex commentator / statistician. Always providing good insight to fans to use as ammunition to argue against each other.
Yeah, tweet from last year gets pulled up in a Cowboys-Eagles argument for the Eagles. So, hey, even the fans know that we are a anti-Cowboy show, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
I think Undisputed is the only pro Cowboy show out there.
Well, don't they have Skip and Michael Irvin on it now?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to balance that out. That's the reason. We are the anti-Undisputed.
Yes.
We are the no interference, aka disputed.
Yes. I was trying to think of couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the details. Let's get into the nitty gritty.
Where do you want to start? Dolphins Chiefs?
Yeah, let's start it from the top.
All right. Dolphins Chiefs all the way in, was it Frankfurt something, London, Germany?
Frankfurt, Germany, I think.
Frankfurt, Germany. 9:30 kickoff, depending on where you are located.
Yep.
Yeah, so
don't worry about going over all the stats again. We already did that.
No, I was just gonna say we've talked on the show. The Dolphins, they're basically over. I think week 2 of last year they beat the Bills. I don't even want to call that a winning team. I guess the Bills were 2-0, so they beat a winning team. But basically, over a season and a half, um, over more than a I don't know. Let me do the math. 16, 15. We're in week 9. Over 20 games sample size, a 20 plus game streak. They have not beaten a team with a winning record, and it's
What you
getting to
got
the
to do?
point where like that's who you are. You cannot beat winning teams. You hear it all the time. We've talked about teams that maybe aren't great, but they rise to the occasion and they win the tough games. Like, but the Dolphins are the opposite. They beat up on the bad teams, and then they inevitably no show against all the good teams.
Is it what do we think's the main root to that? Is it their defense played pretty well in Germany against the Chiefs? They only gave up 2 offensive touchdowns. One was a
Which is
defensive touchdown.
what we talked about that before in the pregame show, that we just thought the Chiefs have been relying on their defense, but we thought that the Dolphins, being a high scoring team, could outscore them. So even with the fact that the Dolphins gave up a touchdown to the Chiefs defense, that's still only 21 points. We thought this high flying team, with both teams having to go, across the globe on the road. Like, if you said, "Oh, hey, the Chiefs only scored 21 points," I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, the Dolphins probably scored 24, 27 and won."
And all 21 of those were in the first half. Is it the Dolphins offense isn't built for these type of games? Is it I just from the eyeball test in this game in particular, and then the Eagles game, because those are the last 2 games I've watched of the Dolphins, is that Tua, when he can, and I'm not saying this like it's not public knowledge, I think most people would agree, when he's able to make his drop and just sling the ball away to whoever it may be on time and in rhythm, the passes are great. They look amazing. He's super accurate.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets moved off his base, the play gets extended. It looks like his arm just dwindles. Like, it happened multiple times in this game where he was throwing off time and it was like a loft and it just didn't. It looked like it could have been picked. It was in the air for so long, or
Yeah,
it's just not as accurate as he is when he's in rhythm.
I think you said it perfectly. He's a rhythm thrower, and I think teams are starting to realize that. So if you can generate quick pressure, not quick sacks,
Mm-hmm.
not getting people free, but if you can generate quick pressure to get him off of his drop back and disrupt it, he's not as good. Also, if you are able to disrupt his wide receivers, he's not as good. So I think that's the thing. I think that's a thing teams know, and it's just a matter of if you have the defense to do that. Not everyone does. You could be like the Chiefs have a pretty good secondary. The Eagles have a very good D line. Um, Even the Patriots, the first time around, kind of were able to scheme that by taking away just the middle of the field. But yeah, there was that video going around with that one god awful pass he threw. And I saw more. I think most of people were like,
At the end of the game,
yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that was a miscommunication," and I was just
I think
like,
it was.
"It was a awful miscommunication." I don't know what he
It
threw
looked
the
like he was
ball,
trying for a back shoulder type thing. There's a weird spot for it, but that's what it
but
looked
that's
like.
not even. It's not. It was. That's not even how you throw a back shoulder. It was like that's like how you throw like an out route when you're trying to throw it over a linebacker's head. It was just bizarre. Like had the receiver ran a comeback route or something, that ball was so lofted up. I guess you could say maybe he realized mid throw, oh crap, the receiver is not there, so he tried to pull it back. That ball, that was maybe the most duckest throw I've ever seen an NFL player make, even if it was on accident.
Yeah. Trying to find his completion percentage against pressure, but having trouble finding it, so I'm not going to worry about that. I think it's safe to say. I mean, we can only judge them on what they've shown us, and they haven't beaten a tough defense / winning team yet. Um, and when things aren't humming, they can show they struggle to be the greatest show on whatever 2.0 or whatever people are calling it nowadays. Not anymore, but I don't know. If I think they're still going to make the playoffs, especially with the Bills struggling in that division. But what are we going to be? What are we going to be? One and done if you don't beat a winning team by then. So, and on the other
Yeah,
side of the ball, the Chiefs still struggled on offense, and their defense still looks really good. So, I mean, they pretty much are on par with what they've done this year.
yeah. I mean, I think the Chiefs are who they are. They're
Patrick Mahomes is running a lot.
yeah. Well, he has to because he. I mean, it's one of his abilities. He has like a sixth sense with finding gaps in your pass rush. If people don't stick to their gaps, and he'll take off, and it's usually like 8 to 12 yards at a pop. And it's not like he's doing it all the time. Maybe like 4 times a game or so. It adds up. Um, but if Travis Kelsey can't abuse your defense, the Chiefs' offense is slowed down, and it's if you look, I don't think Isaiah Pacheco really got going this game.
No,
He had
they didn't. He
he
had
had
16.
16 carries for 66 yards. It's 4 yards a carry, which is respectable. Um, but Patrick Mahomes, he completed 20 of 30 passes for 6 yards an attempt. It was a good game. It's just it's like they're not as threatening as they've been in the past. Their defense is probably the best defense Mahomes has ever had, though. So it's a good timing, right? Like, oh, our offense finally fell off, but hey, our defense is playing really good. Um, I like probably most people thought that this was a game that the Dolphins could, take advantage of. Like,
Yeah, I thought it was. I that was my lock. Was the under for this game, which hit. I just thought that the Dolphins would be able to take advantage of, which I guess should have been the should have been a an obvious thing to say if it's a low scoring game, the Chiefs have the advantage. But for whatever reason, I just thought it would be an advantage for the Dolphins.
yeah, I mean, on the Jerick McKinnon touchdown, the Chiefs like had 3 defenders that were basically all over Travis Kelsey. I think their one linebacker kind of got caught up in the wash, but because of that, McKinnon catches it underneath like drag and doesn't walk into the end zone, but by NFL terms, walked into the end zone. Um,
Another thing I'm curious about. Yeah, you don't want to be dinked and dunked down the field, which is what the Chiefs have kind of been doing this year, anyways. Um, and Travis Kelsey's still one of the best tight ends in the league, but his yards per reception is way down this year. It's almost 2 full yards less than his career. He's usually around 12.5 to 13.5. This year's at 10.5. So is that by design? Is he not getting as many? I mean, he's obviously not getting as many explosive plays, but they're also, I think he has become what he's always been, but now he's just like the ultimate, has to be the safety blanket. for Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah, and I also
which
think
is
that
probably hurting the offense too.
I
With
don't.
him.
Yeah, and I also think because of the limited receivers, teams are basically saying. I mean, yeah, since Tyreek Hill left, teams have been saying, take away Kelsey, but now as the receivers are less threatening, it's a lot easier for even a you know for an defensive coordinator. You can still play it safe with this team, and you can still throw an extra guy on Kelsey. In the past, I mean, even when it was just last year with they had Valdez Scantling last year, didn't they?
I think so. They
And
had
Juju Smith
Juju.
Schuster. That's I mean, that's a lot different than this year. Those guys, like, they're not, game breakers, but they can hurt you. And if
And
you,
I was just gonna say a lot of people expected Sky Moore to have this huge year. Well, I did, and he's just doing what the rest of them are doing.
yeah, I'm about to go try out for receiver for the Chiefs, I think.
You might make one play into the game before someone cracks it.
I think I could take a hit.
In the NFL?
I didn't say, like, I would, like, shrug it off, but.
Well, that's not taking a hit if you can't come back
I mean,
in.
I'm not saying I'm going to take a hit from, like.
If a 180-pound cornerback came full speed and hit you, it'd be a game over.
I don't know. I think if I had pads.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't think Adoree Jackson.
Physical abilities now.
I don't think Adoree Jackson's gonna rock me.
I don't know about that one. They're all running like slow for the NFL's 4.5. What do you think you run?
5 flat.
That's pretty slow.
Maybe a 4.9.
No way.
I think if I stretch,
we're gonna have to get this. This is for the content.
I have my list of content. I can't do the food challenges and then run the 40.
You can do them separate times.
All right.
How about you and RJ put on pads and I throw a pass to you across the middle and RJ hits you as hard as you can. And if that doesn't hurt,
I would run him over.
I'm talking you're coming across the middle and you catch a ball like this and somebody hits you, because that's what's going to happen.
I mean, anyone's going to get hurt by that.
Well, that's what's going to happen to you if you're running a 5 flat out there.
The receiver on the Seahawks ran a 4.9 at the combine. Bobo or whatever his name is. And he has like 3 touchdowns. I could be him. He's only like 5'8". I could play.
Yeah, but
4.9?
You don't have the same technique.
I don't need it. I'm 6'3", 250. I run a 4.9 too. He's opening the world to me. I've seen him do it, and I said, if this guy can get open in the NFL, I can.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one.
Listen, if 4.9 receivers exist in the NFL, it's groundbreaking.
He's not 4.9.
He ran a 4.9.
Oh! I thought you meant 4.9, like his height.
Let me look at his height. He can't be tall. Bobo. Seahawks. Jake Bobo.
He's probably an incredible route runner too.
Okay, I lied. He's 6'4", so he is kind of tall.
Oh my god. Yeah, he probably has a way better vert than you.
If he ran a 4.9, I don't know about that. Let's look at his vertical real quick. Jake Bobo 40 vertical.
You said the vert doesn't matter how high they can jump; it just matters their explosiveness. I'll never forget.
Vertical. 9.9. I don't know if he ran a 4.99. It's basically 5. It looks like he didn't do the vertical at the combine.
I think we could probably reach out to an NFL player and see if they would take a hit on you.
Listen, the challenge is not survive a hit, and the challenge is if I were to get hit in the game.
When I say can you take a hit, it means can you get right back up and get on to the next play and run around.
Can I run at them too?
You're a receiver going for your.
You made a pinata.
I think if you go,
just stands like this, and let someone just.
NFL players are psychopaths. They're going to come right at you head to head. It's not like me.
I'll drop the crown of my helmet. I'll drop the crown of my helmet right into them.
And then you're going to break your neck. And that you'll get fined money you don't have.
I get a flag. I get 15 yards.
Swift just got fined $10,000 for trucking somebody last week.
They're not going to sign some Make-A-Wish wide receiver $10,000.
If you go head to head, the NFL don't play. Make a wish.
This guy's way off track. I don't know how it happened, how we got here.
You saying outlandish things. All right, back to the next one.
All right. Okay, Seahawks Ravens. The bloodbath. Someone posted a meme and it was like, if you missed the Seahawks Ravens game, this is how it went. And it's Family Guy. Stewie walked up to Brian with a baseball bat and just said, "Hey Brian, how's it going?" Just smacked him in the face with a bat and knocked him out.
I think I saw that earlier.
All right.
Pretty much how it went.
So yeah, I mean, in the Seahawks' defense, this is just about the same way that the Lions game went, and
I think this is more about now. The Seahawks looked really bad, but I think this is more about how good the Ravens are than it is how bad the Seahawks are.
Yeah, no, I think you can make a very strong argument that the Ravens are the best team in the league.
Right now, yes.
Yeah. They Lamar Jackson's probably playing, besides the fumbles, which he needs to cut that out, he's probably playing
he's
the
really
best.
Not even doing that much.
But I mean,
I think he has like 10 touchdowns on the year.
And I think that's compliment to, I think he's running the offense the best he ever had in his career. Like,
yes, probably.
Play calling is pretty good. It's improved. They're very efficient running the ball. He makes the plays he needs to. His receivers are starting to finally, I think, get used to the new system. And then their defense.
The team with a bunch of players that complement him well too. Zay Flowers, just get the ball to him in space. Doesn't need to be a pinpoint accuracy deep ball. Odell Beckham, old now, doesn't have the speed, but the hands are still there. Mark Andrews, of course, has always been there, and that's always complimented him. And even Bateman's a big target.
He's kind of improving. Like he's kind of getting in the mix now. And then if this rookie running back, he's small. He's a small guy, but if he's going to add that explosion that they missed from J.K. Dobbins to go with Justice Hill and Gus Bus, I mean, there it is.
Yeah,
for me, what?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, to complement what we've just been saying, Lamar Jackson has had every game over 70% completion percentage except for two. One was 57%. That was the tough game against Pittsburgh. That just
7 drops.
A ton of drops. And then the Arizona game, but he was at 68% or 67%, so that's still really good.
Yeah, but my thing is their defense is just firing on all cylinders. Michael Pierce, he's 400 pounds of immovable object. Immovable, whatever. Just playing the best football of his career, barring he stays healthy. Justin Madubuike, who I swear Ravens fans have been saying is going to be a defensive MVP for like 3 years now. He's finally playing great. Jadeveon Clowney is, having maybe a career year. Like, this might be the best year he's ever had. And then you throw in Kyle Van Noy, Owe, and then Ajabo is not even doing anything. And Travis Jones as well. They have a deep, talented front.
Don't forget, you're going over the front.
Well, I was going to say, and my joke at work lately has been, if you get past Madubuike, who's living in the backfield, run all the way around Michael Pierce, who's like 5 people out there, then you got to get past Patrick Queen. And if you get past Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, who's maybe, he is one or two. He's the number one or number two best linebacker in the league, and he's right there for you. So defense is talented. They're flying around. It's fast. It's one of the fastest defenses in the league.
Pretty sure Geno Stone, their corner, leads the league in picks as well.
Safety. Yeah, leads the league in picks with 6. What's the other safety they drafted last year?
Kyle Hamilton,
just Swiss Army knife. He plays corner, linebacker, safety, blitz him a lot. This defense, I know they're already getting compared to the 2000 Ravens defense, but it actually reminds me more of like the mid 2000s, early 2000 to mid 2000, like Jim Johnson Eagles defenses. Deep,
Are they blitzing a lot?
Just good front, like DBs flying to the ball. Like I felt like that for that Eagles defense, it was just like you had to work for every inch of grass. Like I think Jim Johnson, R.I.P. Well, it's been like 12 years now, I think, but he said his defense was like a wall of knives.
I think
he always described his defense like a wall of knives. And it's like, you get past one, there's another. Get past that one, there's another. Get past that one, there's another. And like you might make 1, 2, 3 guys miss, and then the fourth guy is going to hit you for a 1-yard gain. Yeah. And that's what this Ravens defense looks like.
Yep. I feel like they're one of the better defenses, if not the best defense, that doesn't get talked about either. Like people say, like
if you go by points per drive allowed, the only defense that's better, I'm pretty sure, is the 2000 Ravens since they started tracking.
That's even more impressive with, different game 23 years ago.
Now, with the Seahawks, if you look at their record, I think they're a good team, but so they lost to the Rams to start the year. That was kind of a shocker. They did go beat the Lions in a shootout 37-31. They then went and beat the Panthers 37-27, beat the Giants 24-3, lost a close one to the Bengals, beat the Cardinals, had their late comeback against the Browns, and then they just ran into the buzzsaw, which is the Baltimore Ravens. If you look at the rest of their schedule, let's say Washington, I'll give them that against Washington. They have a rematch against the Rams. I'll give them that one. Say they split. Maybe they split against the Niners, and then they win 2 of their last 3, which is Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Arizona. That gets them to 10 wins. And then if they have any upsets in there, like they're probably still a wild card team for sure. Geno Smith is just not like quite on the level that we saw last year. Mm-hmm. And another interesting fact I noticed, Kenneth Walker, he kind of sucks against good defenses.
Well, I was just pulling up his stats and the team stats for the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, 3 losses this year. They're averaging under 90. They're averaging probably about 70 or 75, 80 yards per game in the 3 losses, rushing yards per game. In the games they're winning, they're averaging about 120. The lone game they had under 100 that they won was the overtime win against Detroit in week 2. And then, Kenneth Walker is dealing with that calf strain or whatever's going on, so he hasn't really done anything the last 2 weeks. He had 16 yards rushing against the Ravens, which the game kind of set up for that anyways. The previous week he did have 66 yards on only 8 carries, but still the workload's not there. And then besides the game against Arizona, he only had the 100-yard game. And then Geno Smith hasn't been playing well, like you said. Not like last year. Last year he was really good with not turning the ball over and being efficient and accurate, and it's just not been the same this year.
Yep. And again, I think Ravens are just that good right
yeah, in a
now.
different way. They're kind of like, I don't even know if this is a valid comparison, but kind of like the Dolphins. Like the Dolphins had higher expectations, but some people were really high on the Seahawks, and I just don't know if either team can beat a good team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Ravens, you I think you gotta establish the run early because the Ravens are gonna basically make you fight the clock otherwise. And then it's old school, right? I mean, I feel like I'm underrating them by saying it, but you have to be able to run on them and stop the run. And even then, it's not going to be an easy win. I mean, look what happened in the Titans game. But I feel like if you can't run, and if you're one dimensional, their defense is going to eat you up. They get too much pressure. They're on pace for like 70 sacks or something, and their secondary's flying around. And if you can't stop the run between Lamar, Gus Bus, Justice Hill, and now this rookie Mitchell, they're going to put up 200 yards rushing on you, and there's just no way you win.
Yeah. Ravens, best team in football?
Right now, probably, yeah. Followed by, I would say right now, Baltimore, Philly, Chiefs.
Bengals?
I like the Chiefs defense enough to take them.
Fair enough.
But yeah. Next game, the shootout, right? Tampa and Houston.
That is correct.
All right. So as we mentioned, the Texans win 39-37. CJ Stroud just plays like a man possessed. And then if you consider their like supporting cast, Damian Pierce is out, so their main running back is Devin Singletary, who averages 2 yards a carry. Tank Dell chipped in 2 carries for 2 yards. But then receiving wise, they have Tank Dell. He's an exciting, rookie. Dalton Schultz, good tight end. But then they have Noah Brown, Nico Collins, John Mechie, who's, often injured. Just, and I hate saying it because he's in my division, but special. Like, big body, seems cool under pressure, physically can make any throw.
It should have been the number 1 overall pick, maybe.
Well, yeah, didn't we all on the show had him as our number 1
in the no
quarterback?
Interference mock draft? He was the number 1 overall pick. Now, granted, things can change team to team. But he's pretty much doing what he's doing without a run game and an okay offensive line.
Well, the O-line was injured for the bulk of his first half. Yeah. Now they're getting healthy, and now look what he's doing.
Yeah, he can make all the throws. His arm is a little bit stronger than I thought it was, or more than it looked in college. I think the knock on him a little bit in college was that he wasn't that mobile, but
who cares?
He's mobile enough to move around in the pocket. I'm sure if he needs to scramble, he can.
People laughed at Tom Brady's mobility, and look at him now.
Hey, greatest of all time.
Yeah, run me off the top quarterbacks of all time. Brady, Montana, Manning.
Peyton Manning is pretty mobile.
He has one bootleg against the Cowboys, I think.
Yeah, I think it was the Cowboys. Yeah, I think so.
Pretty sure it's Cowboys. Pretty sure it's DeMarcus Ware he got with it.
Great.
But I mean, I think what part of it is there is some real Ohio State quarterback bias. People were like, "Oh, when's an Ohio State quarterback been good in the NFL?" And it sounds stupid because I thought on the tape he was the best quarterback in the draft. And I mean, it's not like he fell, but
Yeah, I mean, no, we're not even knocking Stroud here either.
you
Like,
mean
I think,
Young?
Young, Bryce Young. Um, he is just I think you said it more than anybody else. If you're a team in that position to get a quarterback that high, you're probably not that good. And in that situation, between those two quarterbacks, really the biggest difference was Stroud and Bryce Young's physical stature. Like, I don't think there's a huge difference in the ability to throw the ball, even though Stroud's looked a lot better in the NFL so far. But who would you rather want? Somebody that can see
It
above offensive linemen and stand in there and throw
it
dimes left and right, or
it is
Bryce
funny
Young,
that
who's more based on, like, everybody fell in love with the fact that can run around and make plays.
it is funny that Bryce Young's only win is against C.J. Stroud.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at their stats, and that was the one rough game. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. But yeah, back to this game. I'm just gonna go by real quick the you know scoring plays because it's pretty interesting in a game like this.
Back and forth.
So yeah, so the Bengals get on the board first with a 35-yard field goal in the first quarter.
Oh, you're going to
Texan,
the next game.
what?
Did you say the Bengals?
No, did
They
I?
said the. I can't hear. You said the Bucs probably.
Maybe I don't know. Buccaneers field goal take the lead. The Texans follow it up with a C.J. Stroud 14-yard strike to Nico Collins. To end the quarter, Baker Mayfield returns the favor with a touchdown pass to Cade Otton to make it 10-7 Buccaneers. Midway through the second, Rashad White scores a 1-yard touchdown to make it 17-7. Texans get a 50-yard field goal, 17-10, keep in reach. And then we go to halftime. So halftime, Buccaneers are up 17-10. Buccaneers then come out in the second half, field goal. Now it's 2010. Well, then C.J. Stroud, you're starting to feel the game slip away. It's 2010. Oh, no. 75-yard strike to Noah Brown. Noah Brown did do most of the work, but hey, that's an answer. 2016. Buccaneers kick another field goal, 23-16. Now we're halfway through the third quarter. C.J. Stroud hits Tank Dell for 30 yards, 23-22. Now we got a game. Then, beginning of the fourth quarter, C.J. Stroud hits Dalton Schultz, 9 yards, make it 23-30. Texans take the lead. 11 minutes left in the game. Rashad White gets his second touchdown, another 1-yard dive, ties it up 30-30. Let's not forget the Texans kicker got hurt, so they played most of the game with their fullback, whose name I'm not even going to pronounce, Ajabale, I don't know. But lo and behold, he kicks a 29-yard field goal with 8 minutes left in the game to give the Texans a 3-point lead. Baker Mayfield, game on the line, drives down the field with 49 seconds left, gets a 14-yard touchdown to take the 37-33 lead. You're feeling pretty good. But oh no, here comes Stroud in 39 seconds, marches the Texans down the length of the field and scores a 15-yard touchdown to Tank Dell, which was just a dot in the back of the end zone. It was an exciting game, unless you're like me and needed Mike Evans to score a touchdown, and he got tackled at the 1.
Yeah, it was a great game. I caught the last bit of it. I think after the Ravens game was over, they switched to that game, and that Stroud drive at the end.
I just feel bad for Baker Mayfield. I think he's a good quarterback. It's just like
I think he's. Yeah, I mean, I think this year he's probably proven that he can. I think he's.
It's just,
he's
of
respectable
course,
enough to be a starter in the NFL.
Well, it's just, of course he takes over for Tom Brady, and the Buccaneers defense just isn't elite anymore.
Yeah, and Todd Bowles hasn't really been a great coach.
Yeah. Um, I tweeted something. Is it still called tweeting now that it's X, or is it called Xing?
I
I
tweeting.
posted. I posted something.
Yeah.
So the NFL already proposed that you can have a third quarterback that isn't on your 52-man roster or 53-man roster, that you can have at games in the terrible situation that you need to go through to go to your third quarterback. The NHL has an emergency goalie rule where if something happens to your goalies in an emergency, you can phone up some average Joe, usually some like men's league player or someone that works at the arena, to come in and play goalie. I think the NFL needs to have a similar rule for kickers because kickers rarely get hurt, but we've seen multiple times. Again, it's probably the past 10 years. A kicker gets hurt, and then a team's completely screwed because they can hardly kick off, they can't kick field goals, and they can't kick extra points, and it just screws them in the game. Not everyone has a fullback so athletic that he can make kickoffs out the back of the end zone and make 30-yard field goals. So I think the NFL, it would be, I think it would pass. Like, I think the owners would vote it in, no problem. It just has to be proposed. Just have an emergency kicker rule. Like, if you're the Texans, the game was in Houston, right? Mm-hmm. Call up, like, the nearest college and say, hey, see if you can send your kicker here in 10 minutes and he can suit up and play 30 minutes of NFL football. Like, make it a thing. Everyone, and then we can all root for some average Joe getting a kick.
I think it's fair.
Root for the little guy, you know.
Call the NFL, make it happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Roger right now. Hey, Chief, this is a rule we need in place.
Imagine if we were able to get him on the phone right now.
FaceTime him on the
skyrocket
on the pod. No interference with special guest Roger Goodell. If only, if only. Anything else from the game stood out to you?
Stroud boy. He's a baller. He's a gamer. Tank Dell too. I've liked him.
Yeah, you've been on the Tank Dell bandwagon lately.
Yeah, he's very impressive. Good hands, good route running, makes tough catches.
Apparently Stroud, said that's my guy. You know what? Something about those Ohio State quarterbacks. They know who they like at wide receiver. Stroud apparently wanted Tank Dell. They got him. He's playing good. Who was the Washington quarterback? Passed away when they got Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. Haskins.
They drafted Haskins, and apparently he was like, hey, I want my guy, Terry McLaurin. McLaurin's one of the best receivers in the league. Maybe Tank Dell has that same trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to say I projected this for Stroud and Dell and stuff, but I mean, I didn't even think they were going to be this good. I like them coming to the draft. Especially, I thought Stroud should have been the first overall pick, but really good year, which I'll get into that more later.
Maybe next year, AFC South might be the most exciting division of football. Trevor Lawrence, who knows how he's going to end the year? Probably another playoff run. Anthony Richardson coming back healthy. CJ Stroud, probably rookie of the year at this pace. And then Will Levis with the Titans. It's going to be something fun to watch.
Yeah. Speaking of Trevor Lawrence, they were on a bye this week, but they're up there in one of the best teams in the league this year too. I think they have like 5 or 6 in a row.
I want to see them play like
wins or wins.
Well, they lost to the Texans. I mean, the Chiefs.
I think they have 49ers next week.
Their big win was against the Bills, but it was in London, and they were already there for like 2 weeks. So I predicted they would win that game pretty handily because I thought it was an unfair advantage that the league gave them. So
yeah, fair enough.
Moving on. Your game, Cowboys at Philadelphia. taking on the Eagles. I'll
A
just
lot to unpack in this one, isn't there?
I'll let you take over this one, and I'll just chime in when needed.
Well, where do we start? First things first, the Eagles won. I think that's the most important thing.
Winners win.
Was I It was a stressful game. Everybody knows that. Especially for Eagles fans. It was one of the most stressful games I've been a part of because of the way the Eagles almost choked the game away in the end. Um, no matter what, they just seemed to find a way to win. Um, giving up that kind. I might sneeze. I'm good. Giving up that kind of game to Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb is very frustrating because I would love nothing more than for us to, give Dak Prescott a multiple turnovers and just have a poor game altogether. But he was just, guys were open all day and he was just throwing wide open here and there. This guy's open. He was making good plays too outside of the pocket. And I think they went out. Go ahead.
I saw some Philly people on social media were referring to CeeDee Lamb as slot boy. Is that a real thing?
I mean, he is a slot boy. Why do you put him in the slot?
Get the
matchup. Him away from the good guys.
Not to get sidetracked, I got mad last year in the Cowboys-Eagles game when same thing. I think
one with Minshew.
Yeah, it was like Christmas or whatever.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
or was it Christmas? Maybe.
I think it was Christmas Eve because I think I had missed the half because I went to Christmas Eve service. But one of the announcers was like, "This is why CeeDee Lamb's one of the most elite receivers in the game because you can just line him up whoever you want. You just find the other team's worst cover guy and you just put CeeDee on him." I'm like, no, that does not mean he's one of the best receivers in the game. That means you are purposely putting him on. It's like in the NBA when they do all these switches and then they abuse the other team's worst defender. You're not. I don't know.
I don't want to. I'm not saying he's not a good receiver because
he is. He's top 12, top 10 maybe.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean him and Prescott pretty much had their way all game.
Oh, breaking news! Cowboys just signed Martavis Bryant.
Yeah. What does that do?
Well, I don't know. He was good when he played. He hasn't played in like 5 years.
Yeah, there's who can play. Who can go that long without playing? He was already one-dimensional. He was a deep threat.
The Martian for a reason, wasn't he?
All he did was he was a deep threat when they had Antonio Brown still.
It's fair.
I'm not worried about it. But anyways, yeah, I mean, back to the game. The Eagles, they went up 7-0. Dallas scored 2 in a row. Philly was able to answer 14-14. Then Dallas hit that field goal near the end of half to go up 17-14. Then the third quarter was pretty much all Eagles. Jalen Hurts. That's another thing that happened at the end of the second half. And here's another. Jalen Hurts, he hurt his knee. It got hit by Lawrence or whatever. Fell on him, fell into his knee. My worst nightmare, seeing Hurts on the ground, hurt and limping off the field. I guess it's just what they've been saying the whole time. It's not really I don't know how I don't know how to describe the difference, but it's just pain rather than an injury. Now, how do you have pain without an injury? I don't know how to explain that, but that seems like
a bone bruise or something.
Yeah, like it's not like something structurally wrong. Like if I get if I get shot in the arm or a flesh wound, it's going to be really painful, but it's not going to affect my ability to do something. But if I got you take one to the chest, the vital organ, you're probably going to be down. That was a bad analogy.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I was going to say it's like if you pull your hammy, yeah, you're not going to be moving. But if you take a knee right to the hamstring and bruise it, you can probably move around, but it's hurt like heck.
It's going to be tender. Yeah. So Hurts comes back. I mean, he looked good a few minutes later. He was talking to coaches, not even trainers, but went into the locker room, came out in halftime. I thought Jalen Hurts had a really good game. He was accurate the whole game. He threw the dime to Devontae Smith for a 30-yard touchdown. Later in the third quarter, hit A.J. Brown for a touchdown, which I thought those plays were really good too. They ran them a few times to get Goddard. They're kind of like RPO slash, I don't know.
They're like RPOs. It's
They're
like
like
RPO.
RPOs with pre-snap movement involved to get Goddard, AJ Brown open, and I like them a lot. Gets two of our best players with the ball in their hand, I guess you could say, into open field to make plays. At that point, it was 28-17, had the making to be a big win, but then I think the Eagles. Look, the fourth quarter. It was a weird fourth quarter.
I didn't like the play calling.
I think the play call. Here the play calling. I can't remember who. I read this stat somewhere today, but we had 9 offensive plays after our last touchdown in the third quarter, end of the third quarter. So in the fourth quarter, we had 9 offensive plays, 3 drives, 3 3-and-outs, and punts. One of them was, I think, the first one. We were still up 28-17. It was the stop at the goal line and the 1-inch line.
Yeah.
And we had the ball at the inch line. There's not that many plays you have, but you want to get space.
I just think once you get to that point, how much time was left? Do you know when they got the ball at the inch yard line?
It was early in the fourth quarter.
I can pull it up real quick.
It was definitely earlier in the fourth quarter.
I can
Probably
find
10
this out.
minutes left.
I can find this out real quick.
I'll find it for you. Yeah, here we go. 10 minutes and 10 seconds left.
Okay.
4th and 1.
10 minutes and you're up 28-17, right?
Yeah. Well, look. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to say the plays?
No, but I'm just saying, okay, you had 9 plays with 10 minutes left. Every time you run the ball, you basically can take 45 seconds off the clock and potentially you get the yardage for the first down. But even with those 9 plays, you take 45 seconds off the clock. That's... Now I gotta do math.
Well, look. That first one, I don't want to get into too much play-by-play here. We've already done that. But they're on the inch-yard line. They do a tush push. It gets them 2 yards, gets them nice space. The second play was a doozy. It was a weird double slant, like you mentioned. It was an incomplete pass. That play just didn't look right. I don't know if it was a bad call. It just didn't look right. Whatever happened. The third play, it was still 3rd and 8. They were only on the 3-yard line. You obviously want more space than that. So they took an easy first short completion, kind of a screen to Devontae Smith that could get them the first down, but at the very least would get them another 3-4 yards.
I'm fine with the screen also.
Yeah.
The screen I'm fine with. But
so it got him 3 yards, and it got him space to punt it. And then he punted it, and it went to the Dallas 48. On Dallas's next drive, they scored the touchdown. They had a short field. They scored the touchdown.
I did the math. Had you made sure the clock ran your entire possession, they could have ran off. They got the ball on the inch-yard line with 9.5 minutes. Had they used up all the clock they could have...
They had the ball with 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. Had they used up all the clock that they could have, and that's assuming they go 3 and out, they could have ran off roughly 6.5 minutes. So that means the Cowboys...
Without getting a first down?
9 plays, 45 seconds to play.
That's not that. It wasn't that drive. You're talking about every drive in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Gotcha.
6.5 minutes. That means you only allow the Cowboys 3.5 minutes to make 2 touchdowns.
When you look at it like that, it lays out.
That's how I looked at it. The moment they got the ball at the inch-yard line, I said, kill the clock, No matter what you do, every possession, even if it's 3 and outs,
That's
you
what they
have
were
to.
trying to do.
Well, you threw it twice and it was 2 incompletions, which
One
stopped
of
the
the
clock.
Yeah, but the best offense for the best thing that was going for the sometimes the best. What do the Chiefs always do when in doubt, which is all the
You
time?
know,
They
you
put the
you
ball in
tell
Patrick.
that you tell that to Kyle Shanahan and his Super Bowl that he didn't get. The Falcons Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. That that was that was a long time ago, and that was 28-3. He should have stayed aggressive.
No, he should have just ran the ball.
Yeah,
They
but if
already
you can't
said
run the
they
ball, you
already
can't run the
said
ball.
some mathematician already proved that had they taken a knee every play, the Patriots mathematically would not have had enough time to come back.
Yeah, but that's if you're saying it that way, that would also make the other team play differently. The Patriots played with how the game was going and how much time they had. If they
Yeah,
had less
because
time, they
they
would have played
had
differently. They could have scored.
and if you killed more clock, you put more pressure on them. They have less time because you took time off the clock. I'm just saying, when the clock is your friend, let it be your friend.
Well, think about it this way. Let's just stick for the first 3 plays for the Eagles, because obviously this is what we were talking about, because we're an Eagles podcast more than a Cowboys podcast. The Eagles, in that position, you do the tush push to get off the inch-yard line. Smart. I liked it. It made sense.
I would have ran it 4
What is
times.
that's the obvious thing to do, is to run the ball on second down to get it further away and to keep moving the clock. Jalen Hurts is one of the most accurate passers in the league. He is the most accurate passer from pocket passer in the league the last 2 years. They like their chances to get a completion on second down to get a really easy third down, and it was just a busted play.
But he's also banged up.
It doesn't matter. He's good in the pocket. Hasn't mattered this year. He's been banged up all year.
Well, I'm just saying. I think if that double slant,
you wouldn't have faulted them for that second play if it was a completion.
Yeah, but I would fault them for taking the risk.
I don't think it was that much of a risk.
It would have been if they lost.
That's irrelevant, because
if they lost,
every play's a risk. If
they lost the game, everyone would be saying the Eagles could have had a chance to. The narrative would be either A, Jalen Hurts choked and gave up the lead, or the Eagles' play calling was crappy and they did Dallas a favor.
Let's move on from those 3 plays, because I don't think that's as big as a deal. The next drive, the Cowboys scored the next drive either way, and it took them like 4 minutes or whatever. It was with 6 minutes left. They go for the 2-point conversion. Dak Prescott gets chased down by Brandon Graham, steps on the inch-yard line, doesn't get it. The next drive for the Eagles, this is the one that infuriated me. The Eagles got the ball on the 25-yard line. This goes back to what I was saying. They weren't running the ball that well this game, which has kind of been a factor.
Should have brought in Rashad Penny.
Well, they did it in the beginning of half. That's neither.
DeAndre Swift, he's 3rd in the league in rushing. He's explosive. He does not run through contact well.
DeAndre Swift?
Yeah.
He runs through the tackles better than you think. He's very shifty. And
I'm not talking about shifty.
He got fined for a truck. It was so vicious.
Yeah, I'm not talking about a truck or shiftiness. I'm talking about getting 3 to 4 yards through contact to kill the game.
There's no guarantees that Penny could have done that either.
I like Penny's chances. I like Penny's chances better.
If you want to do that, just do a tush push every play.
Why not? I said that. Why not do 4 tush pushes?
Whatever. Okay, they ran the ball with DeAndre Swift. He got 2 yards. Next play, Jalen Hurts rushed for 5 yards. I don't remember what the exact play was. It was 3rd and 3 at that point. This is the most egregious play of the game to me. It's 3rd and 3. They liked the matchup with A.J. Brown going deep. They took the shot because that's what they do. When A.J. Brown's one-on-one, they take the shot. 3rd and 3 with just under 5 minutes left. Just run the ball, because at the very least, you're probably going to get a yard or 2 yards. And at that point, it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. You can tush push it from there. That was the most egregious play of the game to me, going deep on 3rd and 3 with under 5 minutes left. That is being overly aggressive. You could have done anything else besides that. Do that earlier in the game, and I'm fine with it. They probably would have went for it on 4th down at that point. So then the Cowboys get the ball back, and then
that's the Jalen Tolbert touchdown, isn't it?
No, the Cowboys didn't score anymore. This was the drive when Brandon Graham got 2 sacks in a row. They were on they were on Philly's 31. Brandon Graham got 2 sacks in a row. It was 3rd and 21, and then they had an incomplete to Tolbert that Bradbury deflected. And then a minute left. DeAndre Swift, 2 yards again. Dallas timeout. DeAndre Swift again, 1 yard. Dallas timeout. DeAndre Swift again, 1 yard loss. He fumbled. That was another egregious play. Too cute.
Yeah.
Some Eagles beat writer I read said they ran the same play earlier in the game and it got him 7 yards, but it's a different situation. So it was 3rd and 7. And then madness ensued. I feel like we've talked too long about this game already.
Well, one last thing. If we're going to move on, the 2-point conversion. Dak Prescott.
Unconversion.
Yeah, 2-point unconversion. Dak Prescott stepping out of bounds.
Yep.
Egregious. I haven't watched like every angle replay, but to me it looked like he could have just ran in. Like, I don't think he was going to get caught.
Brandon Graham showed really good effort to make the angle. I think some arguments people have made is that Dak Prescott should have been more aggressive with his own angle in the situation. It's a 2-point conversion. You either get it or you don't get it. And I've seen both sides of the argument. People are saying he had a great game. That was literally, his toes were that close to being out of bounds. But I mean, me and you both said it. That's like a rookie kind of play right there. You got to know where you're at in the field, and there's some other quarterbacks that would have made a play.
And also, like, we're not talking about Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, like Joe Burrow. You're Dak Prescott. You're kind of a unit for a QB. Just go. And if you get hit, I'm hoping and you're running forward full speed, you can drag a defender 1 yard and put your arm out. There was no need for him to try to make that fancy dive, and which caused him to step out of bounds when he went to get his feet placed.
Yeah. Just
run forward as hard as you can. I don't think he would have even got touched.
But I think he would have gotten probably hit by Brandon Graham, but I think it looked like he had plenty of momentum to get in there.
Yeah, game of inches for sure. This game of inches, game of feet, and when the play mattered, the Eagles made it and the Cowboys didn't. Sure, 80% of the game, the Cowboys probably outplayed the Eagles. I mean, not 80%, 70% of the game, the Cowboys outplayed the Eagles, but Eagles owned the third quarter. I
still don't even agree with that.
Well, I'm probably wrong still, but Eagles owned the
won, so the Eagles were better. The more proportion of the game, they scored more points.
I just think when you can break a game down into moments, anyone that plays Madden, it's like the Madden moments. The Eagles seem to win the bulk of those moments, and thus won the game.
Yeah. The other side of my argument is people have been crying all week. Cowboys fans have been complaining all week. I don't want to hear anything about the refs either. Yeah, there were a few crucial calls that went against the Cowboys. It happens to everybody. It happens to every team every other week. And the Eagles also had a ton of penalties. Your final drive was made by penalties, so flags were flying all game.
Yeah, my only thing was both teams had 10 penalties. Sure, maybe where there's some calls missed, And that's all games. But I will say this, and I talked to a Cowboys fan earlier today at work. The Cowboys were lining up offsides on defense
Every play.
almost the entire game. Like almost every
Yep.
play when the camera was right there, I was like, offsides, offsides, offsides. I think it got called one time. And it was just, yeah. And I get it. Apparently the refs are trying to punish the Eagles by not calling offsides on, the tush push. But this wasn't during it was. They were offsides during when the Eagles did the tush push.
Every time they run the tush push, somebody is offsides on the other team. It's ridiculous.
But this was just throughout the game.
Yeah.
Anytime the camera was on the line of scrimmage, the Dallas Cowboys were offsides.
Yeah, I saw hands in the neutral zone all game.
And people that don't know, the neutral zone is from tip to tip of the football, and you're not supposed to be in it. You can't even have your helmet over it. Any part of your body, draw a vertical line tip to tip. The only person on both sides of the ball that are allowed in the neutral zone is the center. Yeah. Anybody else, if any part of your body breaks that plane, it's offsides. And yeah, it's a judgment call because.
And did you say it goes up too?
Like it's vertical.
Yeah, vertical.
And yeah.
The last thing I want to say about this game, because all the complaining I've been hearing already this week, which I knew was going to happen the way the game went, is because we were an inch away from scoring this touchdown. He was an inch away from getting the 2-point conversion. And then they would have been able to kick a field goal instead of going for the touchdown at that point. If all of that happened the way everyone's saying it, the Eagles would have played it. It's not like the Eagles just got shut out. The Eagles were playing. They stopped. They made a stop. They were on the inch-yard line. Not a lot of teams convert those when you're on the inch-yard line, backed up on your own. And then the rest of the drives, they were playing. They ran 3 plays in a row at the end of the game. In the other drive, they ran 2 plays in a row, and they threw the ball once in their last 2 drives, and it was a bad deep ball throw. In the other drive, the other possession, they're on their inch-yard line. If all that other stuff happened differently for the Cowboys, it would have been different for the Eagles. The Cowboys didn't stop the Eagles all game. They had 28 points going into the fourth quarter. The Eagles probably would have put up another 10 points, I would guess. So that's all I got to say about that game. I think the Eagles are one of the best teams in the league, and they got a bye week at a good time. And I'm excited for the Super Bowl rematch against the Chiefs. I think if we beat the Chiefs, then people will finally lay off the Eagles a little bit. And one last thing, because I don't care at this point. I try to be kind of civil on this podcast, but I'm done. I hate the Cowboys. They're dirty. That who's their fat defensive end? DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence.
He's not the one I thought it was the other one that hit Jalen Hurts' knee.
I thought it was Lawrence. Whoever. That maybe wasn't on purpose, but he just accidentally fell right into Jalen Hurts' knee. But the Dallas Goedert tackle was dirty. That was an arm twist of death in midair. I've seen it in slow motion. There's no reason to do what he did. He had his arm and shifted his whole body to twist him in midair. What are you trying to do but to break his arm in that situation? Then he fell on it. Dirty play. That guy's a big a-hole. He's got something coming. His cleat might break in the middle of a play, and he gets cut. I don't know. I don't even know who that was, if it was Bland or not. But it was dirty. And then they're lining up off sides all the time. Dirty Cowboys. And their coach likes glory holes, so have fun with that.
Their owner.
Well, McCarthy probably does too. Look at him.
Fair enough.
That's all I got about the Cowboys.
We going on to the Bills-Bengals?
Oh, yeah. Probably should do that.
All right. Bills-Bengals, the rematch that never was from last year because of the unfortunate DeMar Hamlin event, but, it all worked out in the end. Buffalo goes down to Cincinnati. Unfortunately, they lose 24-18. The Bills fall. I think this is the big story. 2 sides. On the Bengals side, they're getting good. Joe Burrow is starting to look more like Joe Burrow, and they're starting to look like the Bengals that we know. On the Bills side, they're 5-4, and they're a holding in the end zone against the Giants, and a very close Buccaneers Hail Mary away from being 3-6.
They haven't been good.
Defense is in shambles, mostly due to injuries, but injuries happen. Like, can't use it as an excuse. And then it's just I'm I'm
Their
mentally
offense
exhausted.
is their offense is just not sustainable.
Yeah, I'm mentally exhausted from saying it's Josh Allen playing backyard football with Stephon Diggs, and that's their entire offense.
Yep.
Dalton Kincaid's finally coming alive, but they have nothing else. Like,
Josh Allen ran 8 times. All other Bills running backs ran 8 times for combined like 3 yards per carry.
I just I think if you're an elite team in this league, like, you're not afraid of the Bills at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I mean
This is why
yeah,
if
I
I
mean
were the Bills,
they're not in playoff position right now. I think they would be the 8th seed.
yeah, because the AFC North would have all the wild card spots right now.
Yeah, I mean defense is one thing because they've had huge injuries in crucial positions. Their cornerback and linebacker go down. They lost what's his name in free agency?
Trey
Tre-
Edmonds.
yeah, Edmonds. I think did they lose somebody else? Anyways, so their defense is just not what it usually is, and then the offense, I don't know. They haven't. It's been the same as what it's been the last couple of years since they got Stephon Diggs, and maybe it's just run its course and it's not effective anymore. Um, I don't think I need. I mean, I'm not. I haven't sat here. I don't want to sit here and say I've watched every play of the Bills season or every throw Josh Allen's made. I still think Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but it's going to be hard to beat anybody when your only option is one receiver and then I mean a rookie tight end that's on the
I
up and
feel
up.
like I feel like there's some parallels between Josh Allen and Herbert with, like, coaching kind of letting them down.
They both have
But
defensive coaches.
yeah, but I think on one, but I think the difference is Herbert is head and shoulders better. I mean, Josh Allen is head and shoulder better than Herbert, and Herbert just happens to have way more talent around him. But it's both parallels of their defensive minded coaches kind of letting them down. If I were the Bills, I would have called up Tennessee for Derrick Henry so quickly. It would have just completely changed the pressure of their offense. And I think Derrick Henry would be great in Buffalo. Get a
Yeah.
250-pound running back in that Buffalo weather late in the season.
Yeah, do they just not get into a rhythm running the ball? Is James Cook not like efficient? I need to. I'm curious what. Like I said, I haven't watched all the games to make that precise of a thought. What the actual like? I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
It just doesn't look like an NFL offense.
Yeah, it looks like a Madden offense. Looks like you're. It looks like somebody would. If somebody got handed a controller and said, "Here's the Bills," they look at the roster, they see Josh Allen's a
Do
98.
we do we know their offensive coordinator's resume? Have we fact checked it?
I think we did during the offseason, didn't
Maybe
we?
maybe when he put his colleges that he coached at, he was talking about NCAA football for EA Sports.
Who is their coordinator? Ken Dorsey?
Oh yeah, he came from the Chiefs,
Oh God,
didn't he? Didn't he come from the Chiefs?
I'm just looking at it. It doesn't say. Let's see. Quick here. Ken Dorsey. What is he? A quarterback? 6'5".
Yeah, he played quarterback in the NFL.
Coaching career. High school, Carolina Panthers, 2011. He was a pro scout. He was a quarterbacks coach. Eventually, by the 2015 season, so that was their year. They went to the Super Bowl. Cam Newton. Then he went back to college, Florida International. He was the assistant director of athletics for the sports program. Cam Newton said he'll bring. I'm not even going to read that quote. I don't know if it's true or not. And then he was on the Buffalo Bills, 2019.
Yeah,
He was
he
their
didn't come to the
quarterbacks
Chiefs.
coach.
He was Dable's quarterback coach when Dable was offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and Dable brought Mike Kafka from the Chiefs to the Giants.
Yeah, they promoted him to passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach in 2021. 2022 promoted to offensive coordinator, replacing Dable.
It's the exact same system.
There's your problem.
Last year, he had that meltdown where he destroyed his keyboard in the coaching box.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, Dable's looked like a good coach. He just, not this year's been rough, but last year he saw what he could do with a running quarterback, and maybe I don't know. The Bills just don't look right. I think the Bengals have looked really good.
Well, I think in the
past, Joe Burrow's gotten healthy.
The story hasn't changed. This has been the story for the Bills for 3 years now. But their defense has been very good. McDermott's a defensive coach. They've had playmakers historically: Tre'Davious White, Matt Milano, Edwards, Levi Wallace, Teron Johnson, Michael Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Ed Oliver, Jerry Hughes, other defensive players. So if you have a good defense, similar to the Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton, if you have a very good defense that is suffocating for the other opposing offense and is giving you possessions, a quarterback like Josh Allen is eventually going to put up points. But when your defense is no longer elite and you're getting into more so shootouts or offensive duels, it doesn't work.
All right, let's run through this real quick. You give me win or loss. In Buffalo against the Broncos.
Win.
At home against the Jets.
Win.
At Philly.
Loss.
At Kansas City.
Loss.
Home against Dallas.
Loss.
At Chargers.
Loss.
Interesting. Home against the Patriots.
Win.
And then at Miami to end the year.
At Miami, I'm going to say loss.
So they would finish the year 8-9 and miss the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, the players that they have hurt aren't coming back for the most part.
So with that, is Sean McDermott fired?
No, but I think Ken Dorsey is.
Fair enough.
And I think you need to you have to reevaluate the team. It's the same reason why they've been going to the playoffs and they haven't been able to beat for 3 years. They haven't been able to beat the Chiefs and the Bengals.
Yeah, that might be the game of the year against Miami at home. They blew out Miami in Week 4. Both of them could be. That could be for the division, depending on what Miami does.
Yeah. Studs and duds.
Studs and duds.
Studs and duds. I almost said suds and duds.
Duds and suds.
Yeah.
Suds and dudses.
I need to find my list real quick, Ski. All right, I'll go first, if that's okay.
Yep.
My no interference stud of the week is none other than Kenny Moore, the second for the Indianapolis Colts. He had 2 pick sixes, which means he has the second most touchdown receptions of any receiver from Bryce Young. hats off to Kenny Moore.
Stud of the week. Quite impressive on his end. Do you want to do your dud too, or do you want me to do my stud?
You can do your stud.
We'll do all studs, and then all duds. This is easy. My stud of the week is going to be none other than C.J. Stroud. Mr. Stroud had the huge win over the Buccaneers, one of the best performances we've seen from if not, arguably statistically is the best performance from a rookie quarterback. He's the youngest player ever with 450 yards, plus 450 yards passing, and 5 touchdowns. It was previously Patrick Mahomes. An incredible game. That last drive, just dropping dimes. I think they had 30. They had under a minute left on their final drive, and he just threw lasers, most notably sideline pass to Tank Dell, who made a great catch, and then
big time throws.
An absolute laser to the end zone again to Tank Dell. So rookie on rookie action there. CJ Stroud's just been a stud. He's my stud. A little quick tidbit. He's on pace for about 30 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and 4,800 yards passing. That'd probably be the best rookie season ever.
Wait, he only has 1 interception on the year?
Yep.
Jesus.
He's on pace for 2 interceptions, 30 touchdowns, and almost nearly 5,000 yards.
Would that be the best TD interception ratio in NFL history? Because didn't Rodgers do like 40 and like 4?
Yeah, and then Rodgers has a few that would be close, and then Russell Wilson also does. I think Patrick Mahomes and Peyton Manning's 50 touchdown years both had like close to 10 picks. So probably Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson are up there. The next closest, I just want to throw another stat out here because CJ Stroud is that good. The only rookie quarterback ever with over 30 pass touchdowns is Herbert, but he had 10 interceptions. Next on that list would be 27 for Mayfield. He had 14 interceptions. Peyton Manning is third on that list with 26 touchdowns. He had 28 interceptions. So Stroud's, he's on his way to being an elite company.
And imagine if they get him a receiver. Well, Tank Dell.
He's got one. And Nico Collins looks really good. Imagine if they get him a really good O-line and running game.
Yeah. That's fair.
That is CJ
Stroud.
If
broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
Imagine if Brandon Cooks had just stayed instead of whining to go to Dallas.
Nah, they're better off without him.
Possibly.
Hasn't done anything.
CJ Stroud was kind of the obvious stud of the week. I texted you. I'm going to pick Kenny Moore because I have a feeling you're going to go with CJ Stroud.
Much obliged.
My dud of the week is the Miami Dolphins offense. Once again, they play a team with the winning record, and their offense doesn't show up. Against the Chiefs, Eagles, and Bills, their offense has not been good. Just straight up, not been good. Against all these poor teams, they're greatest show on turf. They're breaking records from, the Manning Denver Broncos, the Kurt Warner Rams. But when they play these good teams, completely different team. Garbage, really.
Straight poop.
Your dud of the week, sir?
My dud of the week is also going to be a unit/team. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. You could say as a whole, their offense and defense was poor, but I'm going to go in particular with the defensive side of the ball. They've been rough the last couple weeks against the run. And then, they made the trade for Leonard Williams to bulk up that defensive line, and the Ravens just blew the top right off of their defense. Ravens had 300 yards rushing, just gashed them all game. Starters didn't even have to really play in the fourth quarter. Have the Ravens made other teams look bad, such as the Lions? Yes, but not a good look for a Seattle Seahawks team that has playoff aspirations.
Yep, that's fair. At a certain point in a game like that, if you're the Seahawks, you're just like, is what it is. We just need to get out of here healthy, but still, like, that was a Baltimore beatdown, which there's been a few of those this year. But if you're an NFC team, you definitely don't want to play the Ravens right now.
That's what I said last week.
Listen, I picked the Ravens to win. I just
didn't?
thought the Seahawks. Yeah, I picked the Ravens to win, but I thought the Seahawks would. I had them covering.
Oh, yeah,
I said the Ravens.
It was like
I said the Ravens would win.
You had Seahawks +6 or whatever it was.
+6. Obviously, I needed plus.
Yeah, you said
plus 35.
60.
Yeah, I said Who was it? Seahawks +60, right?
Yeah. Me and RJ told you wasn't gonna happen.
I went 1 for 3 this week.
I went. Oh, my fantasy takes were bad.
What do you count for Garrett Wilson? I think he got 15 points. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a must start. I would take 15 points.
It should have been way better. We'll talk about it with RJ. I went 1 for 3, maybe 2 for 3, depending on how you feel about Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, my picks were terrible. Pacheco had like 6 points. Gus Edwards went off again, and I said he was my sit of the week. So my bad if anybody listened to that. Probably didn't. Bet of the week though, if you want to win money, I would have won you money. Miami Chiefs, the under.
At least one of us would have.
Yeah, I didn't even place a bet on that myself. I need to start doing that.
Anything else you wanted to throw out today?
Nope.
Alrighty. Well, that does it for the show today. This is No Interference. We're your host, Westside and Big Sass. That does it for our recap of the Week 9 NFL season. Thank you for tuning in and listening. If you enjoyed the show, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Follow us on social media. We are on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, at The NI Show. Doing my best to, drop some interesting tweets and keeping you updated during the game, because who has time to watch every game on Sunday? But as always, thanks for watching. We appreciate all of the fans out there, and adios.
See ya.
RJ just pops on and says bye.